Hello, listeners. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk and Learn with me, Mary Joyce, your host. Today, we'll dive into the fascinating world of memory and how it shapes our reality. Memory isn't just a storage unit for past experiences, it's the lens through which we view our present and future. So, as we walk down this memory lane, I recall a very beautiful quote by John Locke. So, John Locke once said, memory is the keeper of all knowledge. So, our recollections can influence our emotions, decisions, and ultimately our reality. But how does this work? So, listeners, memory is a powerful tool that influences our perceptions, decisions, and interactions with individuals and society in large. So, psychologically, memory is not just about recalling facts, but it involves reconstructing past experiences, which can often lead to distortions. Cognitive psychologists like Elizabeth Loftus have shown how memories can be influenced by external factors, leading us to question the reliability of what we think we know. For example, consider the misinformation effect, where people's memories of an event are altered by misleading informations. This illustrates that our memories can be susceptible to changes, directly impacting how we perceive our reality. Philosophically, memory has been debated by great thinkers. Like Henry Bergson distinguished between two types of memories. One is a habit memory and pure memory. So, habit memory involves learned behaviors, while pure memory is the recollection of experiences. So, this distinction underscores how we can shift our focus from merely acting on an autopilot to consciously reflecting on our past experience, thus altering our current reality. And this is very essential. So, if you're interested in assessing and improving your memory, visit my website at www.maryjoycelifecoach.com, fill a form, and book a coaching session if you're interested or want to dive deep into this, where I will be providing you coaching sessions and training and assessment for improving the memory. So, coming back to our podcast, have you ever interacted with someone and felt an instant connection? Or perhaps you have had a conversation that felt flat, as if you were speaking to a wall. So let's explore this deeper. What makes interactions meaningful and how these elements can transform our relationships? Let's start with the concept of meaningful interactions. This is where memory plays a role. So, if you want to improve your interaction, try improving memory. I found very hard to remember names, and I used to think this is going to affect my role at workplace because if I go into workplace and I say hello to somebody and say hello with the name, that has a more effective impact on my conversation with that person than just saying hello. So I decided I have to improve this communication skill and thus my relationship with my colleagues at workplace. So when we engage with others, it's not just about exchanging words, it's about sharing experiences, being very specific in our interactions, making that person feel valued, emotions, and creating a narrative together. Because when you are in a relationship, you are creating a dialogue. It's not a monologue. Research shows that human relationships thrive on continuity when we remember past conversations and build upon them. This continuity is what fosters intimacy and trust. Think about it this way: when you talk to a friend, you recall stories from your past interactions. You laugh, and sometimes you even cry together. This shared history is vital. It helps you to understand each other at a very deeper level and create meaningful relationships. So, what is the importance of listening in this? Active listening, which we all have heard time now and again, is a cornerstone of meaningful communication. It's not just about hearing the word, it's about understanding the feelings behind them. So, when we listen attentively, we signal to others that their thoughts and emotions matter. So, when we are giving them our all attention. We are saying, I'm invested in this relationship. Imagine a scenario: your friend is sharing a challenging experience, and instead of just nodding along, you ask questions that show you are engaged. You might say, how did that make you feel? Or what was going through your mind at that moment? Or or even repeat what the person would have said. Shows that you are engaged in that conversation. So this kind of engagement can lead to a more deeper discussion and a strong connection. Or we call as a reciprocity response, where another individual is engaged in that meaningful interaction. So, what is reciprocity? So, it's a two-way street where relationships flourish when both parties contribute equally. When you share your thoughts and feelings and the other person responds with empathy and openness, you create a safe space where you can show that you can be vulnerable and it's okay to be vulnerable. This back and forth not only builds trust but also enhances understanding. So, this relationship, this bond in a relationship where you have an honest relationship, where you trusting the other person, where you have built a relationship on trust, on respect, all these elements make that relationship meaningful. It's when there is a break in any of these factors that the relationship can still be worked out, but you have to put a little bit more of adhesive to attach that, to mend that break. Now, let's take a moment to consider technology. We live in an age when interactions with AI and chatbots are becoming increasingly common. So, we are getting a feedback from these digital technologies at an emotional level. But here is the catch: these technologies don't have the memory and context. These interactions can feel very impersonal and disconnected. Have you ever tried chatting to a chatbot? After you delete the conversation, same questions, same. So there is no connection, there is no connectivity. You're starting over again because there is a lack of depth that comes from the genuine human engagement. So there is no connection there. So these type of interactions are not meaningful and we still feel that vacuum. So these are not fulfilling communications. But why are we investing so much time and effort on these non meaningful relationships? I would want to illustrate this more further. So, if you're chatting to a chatbot that cannot remember your previous conversations, so each time you interact, like I said, you're starting from the scratch. So, you will start feeling frustrated as if your thoughts and needs aren't being acknowledged. This thought will bring us to that very key question, which we humans are able to fulfill in a relationship where we listen, remember, and reciprocate in our interactions. So, if you are living with somebody or if you are in a relationship with somebody who is not able to listen, remember, and reciprocate your interactions, then the relationship is very similar to that chat box. It's an empty relationship. You're creating a vacuum there. So, what can we take away from this? Building meaningful relationship requires effort and time and investment. You cannot take the other person for granted in a relationship. It involves actively engaging in conversations, listening with intent, and being willing to share and reciprocate, making the time for each other. Whether it's with friends, families, colleagues, the skill of interaction is very crucial. Now that we have explored how memory shapes our reality and the importance of meaningful interactions, I would just give you tips on how to improve your memory. Journaling is one of the famous tips that's talked about at various lengths and breadths. It reinforces your memories as you jot down your experiences in the journal. Another very beautiful concept is mind mapping, where you create visual maps to organize informations. And this technique engages different parts of your brain and it can enhance your recall. Memory exercises are very readily available. There are apps like Luminosity or even simple crosswords can be very effective. This is mindfulness has a lot to enhance your memory and the focus. So what it does is you brings you down on that present and you improve your ability to encode and recall the information. Now, if you want personalized strategies, I invite you to visit my website and I can tailor coaching sessions, especially around improving memory. So, why memory? Memory is a very powerful tool, listeners, that can shape our reality and how we function in our society. By understanding its intricacies and actively working to improve it, we can enhance not just our recall, but also the quality of our lives. I encourage you to reflect on your interactions. How can you apply these principles of meaningful engagement, active listening, and reciprocate in your relationships and make your relationships meaningful? Remember, every conversation is an opportunity to deepen your connection and enrich your life. So, as we conclude today's episode, always remember the sun may set and rise in different parts of the world. But as a coach, I'm here whenever you need me. Thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk and Learn. Until next time, take care of yourself, embrace your memories, and cherish the connections you make along the way. I'm going to do a very basic exercise here, helping with the memory or the state of memory. Think of a time when you were highly focused and were able to absorb information easily. Now close your eyes and vividly recall that moment. What you felt, saw, and heard in that moment. Now, listeners, as you feel that state intensifying, slowly, it's reaching that pinnacle. Press your thumb and finger together, or you can touch your wrist. Now, when you are trying to learn, or when you are reviewing, or you want to recall something of importance, trigger this by repeating the same gesture. Either press your thumb and finger together or touch your wrist. You're creating an association between the focused state and the new information. So every time you are studying, trigger the anchor and reinforce it. Later, when you need to recall the information, use this to bring back the mental state that will help you to recall the information. Now, this is a very basic exercise. If you want to go at a more advanced level of this, feel free to get in touch with me on my website www.maryjoycelifecoach.com. The information is there on this podcast section in the YouTube, and feel free to get in touch with me if you need more help around recall memories. I hope you have a beautiful week ahead and everything evolves in its natural state beautifully, folding each layer of information into a new knowledge and experience. We look forward to a beautiful week. Thank you, listeners. I'll catch up with you again next week on Saturday.